Welcome to the Bougie Black Brother Network. Good evening and welcome to Urban Lifestyle Cafe. I'm Michael, your bougie black brother, and I'm here with my co-host Alicia.
Hello.
And we're doing our round robin, preparing for Oscars, SAG, and Golden Globe nominations.
Yes.
So we decided to grab hold of a couple of movies that we gotta catch up on that was released a little earlier that we didn't get around to seeing, or I didn't get around to seeing because Alicia saw it before me anyway.
Yes, I did.
But she said, hey, you keep talking about these movies. This is something you need to see. And the one I'm talking about is called The Big Sick. So, what is The Big Sick? Here's the quick down and dirty. So, if I butcher the names, just correct me. I'll be okay. So, it was a comedy. A Pakistani-born comedian, Kumail Nanjiani, and he's a grad student, and Emily Garner fall in love but struggle as their cultures clash. When Emily contracts a mysterious illness, Kumail finds himself forced to face her parents, and so on and so on and so on. But the big thing about it was the clash in cultures, which was really interesting, and it's based on a true story. So, and you knew that?
Yes, I did.
So, as you opened up, and I took my time looking at it, and it's supposed to be a comedy / love story,
right?
And which made it interesting, and comedy, love story, true story, which made it more interesting because you wanted to see, wait a minute, was this really happening? And which one was the characters that they kind of overdid or underplayed or whatever. But I thought the whole overall movie was something I wanted to see because I like the concept of the clash of cultures and different things. So your initial thoughts of it was what, Alicia?
Oh, I really liked the story. I mean, it wasn't. It was the fact that two different cultures, and how he's from Pakistan and how their family structure is,
right,
and,
culture wise,
and him having the attraction with a white woman, who they had a lot in common. They were just two. They got along well.
They were people.
Yeah, they were people. Yeah,
they were people.
But the thing was really interesting is how he has been so Americanized, and his family, reminded him how they came from Pakistan. He was a little boy.
How they struggled
there, and how they came here, and yet they didn't understand that their son wasn't Americanized because he was supposed to be a lawyer. And he basically or doctor, yeah, because he was trying to give in to what they wanted until he realizes like, well, that's not what I want, and and it reminded me, we see this a lot in their culture, whether they're Indian or Pakistan. You see a lot of that in their culture.
Well, a lot of the Muslim countries, as well as the Indian and Pakistani, which was really interesting because he played a stand-up comedian on there too. And he had a one-man show, and his one-man show kind of talked about the culture of Pakistan and how Pakistan was a part of India, and then they broke up from India. And when he met his girl, soon-to-be girlfriend, she was kind of like, yeah, this guy's interesting. And then when he showed her the show, she was like, but I don't know anything about you. All you did was tell you about the history, but you never explained anything about yourself.
Yes, and it was like he didn't want to talk about himself. He tried to avoid his issues.
Yeah.
Along the way, because you could tell along the way that's how he was.
So I found it interesting because I'm glad you said it in that way. He avoided the issue. He went in, and I think he had dinner with his family. And culture-wise, he went to have dinner with his family on a constant basis. And before they have dessert, he has to go downstairs and he has to pray. And then after he prays, they can have ice cream or dessert. But he would go downstairs and lay everything out and play games on his phone. And it was a part in there that he kind of approached his family when he was kind of getting fed up with some things, and his relationship with his girlfriend,
right,
that he never told his family about, was that he doesn't understand his culture. He knew his culture. He doesn't understand it. He didn't understand why he was Muslim. He didn't understand what should have been done. But every week that he went over to his parents' house, they would have a Pakistani girl come over and introduce, because they had fixed marriages,
right, back
in that
then.
way. No, not back then.
Well, now,
And that's traditional. And like he asked them was, why would you come to America and stay but still act like we were back in Pakistan? This doesn't make sense to me. And he was kind of confused how they held on to a strong sense of culture, but yet they said they needed to or wanted to be here to make things better for their children.
Right.
You know, they went through a couple of the comedians that was on there. He had friends that was comedians, and they were, as a team, they went as a group, and it was in Chicago. But they was supposed to go to Canada. I think it was a Montreal comedy something. So they was auditioning as a group and said if everybody was good, they'll take the whole group up there, and the comedy team will go from that. But through that time, his girlfriend found out that he didn't reveal anything about himself. She finally told him, yeah, I was divorced, I was married, but it didn't make any sense. And what I went through, I found that I just didn't need to be married. And he was kind of standoffish on that. She was a little offended, but she let it go. But at one point with their relationship, she found a whole box full of pictures of women. And, every time he would go over there, they would hand him a picture with some data. I was like, wow, this is fucking crazy.
So the whole thing is that, so whenever he go home for Sunday dinner, I assume it was Sunday or whatever day it was, his mom had this crazy habit of inviting a girl over to try to set him up. And so that continued. It was like through the movie, you seen this happening, and it was like it was something that they didn't talk about. He didn't want to address the issue. He didn't want to tell his mom, you need to stop because I am not interested. But this is his way of showing respect. And so the sad thing was, like you said, he had a box, all these women that his moms tried to set him up to marry. Mm-hmm. And so it was for real, to see that happening. And yet his brother telling him, this is what mom do. We have to find you, this is what they did for me. You have to do the same.
Yeah, but one of the things that he was fearful of, which, I missed that part, but kind of you made me recall, there was someone else in the family who married outside of the family, and the family did not talk to him. Mm-hmm. They just didn't talk to them. They banned him. You're not family anymore. So he had a fear that would happen to him. So he was like, no way. He couldn't tell them that he was
seeing another woman. He was in love with somebody else.
With someone else, or dating or whatever. He couldn't tell them that he wasn't going to be a lawyer and he was a comedian. Wouldn't tell them, and he wouldn't tell them that he wasn't praying. So all of these things he just hid from his parents because he didn't want to ostracize himself like his cousin or whoever it was who did that. And his brother had a Pakistani woman, and he was like, yeah, we had a hard time at first, but now we're friends. So, you'll learn, it'll come around in that way. Mm-hmm. And he was so into the westernized society that
he was Americanized. Because he came in there when he was young.
He couldn't get it. He just couldn't. And what he went through was kind of like, I don't understand. And for him to tell them, his parents, that he couldn't understand would be devastating to them. And he knew that. So he kept up this facade until he actually fell in love with this one girl. So that was simple. Pakistani man falling in love with a white girl, and then all of a sudden he breaks away and they go about their business. But that's not what happened.
Right.
What happened was she suddenly got sick. And when she got sick, one of her close friends didn't know who to call, because after she found all the pictures, right?
Yep.
After she found all the pictures, he was like, I'm not going to leave my family. That's why I didn't want you to meet my parents, and I really didn't want to meet yours.
Because his fear, like you said, his fear was they would abandon him.
Yeah, and he didn't want that experience. And so he realized that, you know what, maybe I do have to let her go. But when she got sick and went to the hospital and was in a coma, but before they asked him, are you the husband? And if you're a family member, but if you don't put her in an induced coma, she probably would not live. So I'm asking you, are you the husband? Mm-hmm. And he was like shocked, like, if I say I'm not, she might die. But I have to do it. So he did, and then her parents came down, which was both of them. I think of the whole movie, Ray Romano and Holly Hunter played amazing.
Oh, didn't they?
So they stood out in the whole movie.
They did.
Ray Romano, I've never seen him act that well. He was such a simple guy without trying to be funny, but he was simple, but he played such a good role. And Holly Hunter she's always great. I just love to see her on different stuff anyway, but she was great as well. Come to find out, she was nominated for a SAG Award. So
for her part in that, and
Screen
you had
Actors
said
Guild.
Did you say that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you
before
said
I
that.
even seen the
before you seen the movie.
I said she and her and Ray Romano, those are the people who should have been nominated for supporting actress for the Golden Globes. I said, now that one she should have, but hence the Screen Actors Guild, the SAG Award. But they played amazing, and they came supporting parents. They had their own issues together, but as they went through their issues trying to come together for their daughter, and then her daughter reached out to their family and said, I broke up with this guy, and she gave them all the details. But they saw that this guy really loved her. He stood by her regardless, and he supported them and hung with them and did whatever it took for the parents to be fine in order for her to be fine.
Yep. And he still didn't explain to his parents until the very end.
Until they kind of walked in and said, where you been and where you going? And he said, I gotta go. So when they broke into his house and that broke in, but they stepped into his house while he was trying to leave, and he didn't make it to the dinner the other night because they were what?
He was with
her family.
With her family.
And he supposed to showed up there. But then he was going to take off again, and they showed up at his apartment, and he just told him, I'm in love with someone else, and it's not a Pakistani girl. And they was like, you're out of the family. And they walked away. But yet, he still accepted it and went to the hospital.
Yep, he sure did.
So I think accelerated what was going on. And she came out of the coma. And when she came out of the coma,
she was still mad at him.
She was still mad at him. She was like, no, you lied to me. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you would commit to anything. So I don't need you here. But the parents knew how much he loved her and how much he cared. So they still said, I hope to see you again, even though she said no.
Right. But
he didn't give up. And, he even bombed. Remember when he was supposed to do the stand-up? And that was their opportunity to be a comedy team to go to Montreal. But all he would talk about is his girlfriend may die. And he just went through a whole spiel. And they recorded it on YouTube. Yep. And they said the worst bomb in whatever. And he always showed up. But it was funny because she got to see it. And mostly what he was talking about was how much he loved her and how much he couldn't do anything because his girlfriend or the woman he loved may die because the infection is getting to her heart. But yet I'm standing right here. So made it really, really interesting. It was slightly emotional, but really sweet. It was like a sweet comedic
love story.
Mm-hmm. kind of reminded me of Knocked Up, the one where Seth Rogen was on, and he had a one night stand with the one girl, and she was gonna have a baby, but he had to get his life right.
Yeah,
and she was like, "I'm not gonna be with you. Are you crazy?" but he had to get his life right, and he finally. And they didn't even have a relationship. They just slept together. But on top of all of that, he had to get his life right. So, but this was one. It was a true story. Two, the clash in cultures was like really, really cool.
It was. I think that's what made the movie so well. Because if it was just a regular person, a love story, it would not, be that attractive.
A comedian who fell in love with a girl and they broke up.
But when you
and then
see that he had to deal with his culture, his family, and trying to figure out how he was going to make it work, because he couldn't bring his girlfriend to his mom's and father's house, his mom, because then they would just disown him. They did at the end, right off the spot. Yeah, but still, he hurt her by not explaining to her, look, there's an issue I have with my family because they always want to set me up with somebody.
Traditional Pakistani tradition is you marry the woman that's brought to you. Is called from like that. But I'm not sure who he talked to. I don't know if it was his girlfriend or the parents, but they said no matter what happened, family, you can't disown your family. You just can't. You will always be family. Whether they don't want you around or not, you will be family. And he took that and he remembered that, and he went right back to the house and said, "Hey, look, y'all don't have to talk to me or whatever, but I'm going to keep coming because I'm family, and y'all can't take that away."
Yep, and that was a good thing.
And it was a good thing. He just said to them, "I know you love me and you don't like what I did, but I'm your son and I'm family, so you can continue to act that way, but I'm still going to keep coming," until he, was moving to New York with his other friends. So, and then at that point, she still said, I couldn't come, I still don't think I can start all over with you again. And he was like, okay, because he came to her party that they had at her house, and all the people that helped her at the hospital was there. And she was like, what is she doing here? And her mom was like, every nurse and doctor that helped you was there, and he was there all through this. So, yeah, I did invite him. So he had these kind of memorabilia. It was so cute. He had all his visitor tags each day that he was there. He had the tickets that he hung out with her mom and dad. And it was, and then he burnt all the pictures of the girls and put them in. He said, here's the ashes of all the women. He was like, well, wait, hold up. Let me rephrase that. Here's the ashes of the pictures of all the women. I was like, damn, that was crazy. But
it was really interesting how it was like, his mom said, well, she was like the most expensive girl, one of the last girl that she brung her to the house. And had her parents there. So she's in high demand.
She's in high demand.
They want her. And he was like,
I don't want her.
Exactly.
I don't.
Yeah. I mean, so it was really interesting how, she tried so hard to set her son up, and it's like, I don't love him.
But it was tradition.
Yeah, it was tradition. It was a tradition.
Regardless of what we look at on the outside, tradition said that's what's supposed to happen. And so many Pakistani and Indian and a lot of these countries, that's just how it's done. We think it's an odd thing, but to them, that's just the way it is. And he made it simple. He made it like, wow, yeah. But he did it so natural. So he did a good job because he co-wrote it with someone else, and they worked with the screenplay with that. So they did a really good job of this comedic love story that delved into two different cultures to say, in the end, people are people and they'll love each other.
Yeah, and it was all about, like I said, he was Americanized. He's like, he didn't want. They wanted him to be a lawyer, like you said, a doctor. He wanted to be a comedian.
Yep.
But he was successful for being a comedian.
He was doing well.
He was doing very well. Yeah. Right. So I just loved the story. It was very simple. it reminded me a little bit about remind me a little bit of the love story in the Ghost Story. You know, how he loved her at the very beginning, how much he loved her, and how they went through a lot. And so, but it's just I just love that soft, subtle.
The subtle, yeah.
It
the
wasn't.
Of
it
all.
Wasn't
like extremely romantic.
Yeah. It was very. It was a subtle love story, and it was simple, and it was nice.
Yeah.
And I love those.
I agree with that.
And that's what I loved about about this the Big Sick. Because it was they think of love stories as sex. Everybody think love story is all about the sex.
Or not just sex. The extreme emotional crying, and he's standing in the rain like, come back to me.
Yeah.
All the over dramatized, all of that.
Right.
That's what you think about romantic movies. And this wasn't that, but it was subtle enough, but you knew that he loved her. He didn't want to let her go, but he was conflicted with his family and culture and the woman he loved. And with her, she loved him, but it was kind of like, what do I do though?
But I love the fact that her parents basically said, look, I already know. I know what went. Her mom's like, I know what you did. I know what you did. And he was like, he was shocked. He was like, she told her mom everything. Yeah, I know. You broke her heart.
Yep.
But I think she even.
But she learned to.
She even fell in love with him.
Yeah, she learned to say, this is why my daughter fell in love with this guy. Even though she didn't know what was the reason why he separated from her. Her daughter could have told him something. But it's hard for people like us to understand that type of cultural tradition. So we'll look at it like, that doesn't make any sense. You just wrong. But she realized that this was a good guy that loved her daughter. So she learned to say, damn, I could just deal with this guy, and he's here for my daughter.
And they were crazy though. They were crazy.
Yeah,
I love that they were crazy through the whole thing. But it was a very good movie. And
very good.
What's your score?
I'll say again, I think a 7.75. It's not quite an 8 for me.
Okay.
It's not quite an 8 for me because he's not that funny, but he was funny enough for the movie. I love the way it was written. Those two characters wasn't good, but thank goodness that Ray Romano and they would stand out in the movie. So I really appreciated the movie. I kind of appreciated the movie, so I'll give it a 7.75.
I give it an 8 because I really liked the movie. I got to see it again, and I would watch it again because it was really good. It was really, really good.
So I won't say I won't watch it again. That's why I got it kind of high. Because if it's on, there's portions on there that I really thought was really interesting. I found some interesting things in the movie. But to say, yeah, that's my movie. I remember this. This is good. Let me cut this on it. No, it's not that.
Well, see, because, I like romantic movies like that. This one didn't make me cry, which was good because I cried every goddamn movie that makes me cry. But I really love the subtleness. Like I said, it was a subtle romance. And like you said, if it come on TV, I would watch it no matter what, over and over again.
I got you. And, you gave it a good score, though. You know what I mean? I was debating to say, is it really an 8 for me? I was like, not quite. If you lined it up with a couple of other movies to say, is it better than this movie? Is it better than this movie? Is it better than this movie? I wouldn't know. So lined up, I'm going to keep with my score because I really think the movies that I say that's 8 is really caught me in a different way. So, but this one didn't make me. I really enjoyed it though. I did like it. I really liked the way it was written. I really like how it was structured, and it kind of gave you some good perspective on cultural wise and how people see people, and how sometimes, regardless of your culture, love is love. And I just really thought that was really cool too.
Yep.
So that's what we got.
Yes.
There's a couple of other ones that's not out yet. So the posters on there. We got to see that other one.
The 3 billboards.
Yeah, the 3 billboards, whatever, in Missouri or something like that. I really want to see that because that's like a dark humor.
I want to see Lady
really,
Bird.
Yeah.
You know me. I'll watch it and then I'll tell you if it's worth watching again.
Yeah.
And then I don't know about I, Tanya. I don't know about that.
We'll see.
So
we may see it next year.
And then Star Wars.
Oh, we seeing that. That's coming out regardless.
Yeah, it's coming out this weekend. Everybody's all excited. I could have got free tickets for tomorrow.
Yeah, what happened?
Couldn't get it.
Oh, so you could have.
Actually,
I could have, but you didn't.
Nah, I can reach out to what's her name.
You could have, but you didn't.
No, Dar. I can reach out to Dar. I don't. But you have to go to work.
Yeah, it depends on what time
it's late.
Oh, okay.
And it's in downtown Atlanta.
Whoa, I don't think so.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that'll be a little too late for that.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, but 8 and 775, another close one. But thanks for stopping by Urban Lifestyle Cafe. Find us on iTunes, Google Play, and all of the Podbean.com, the app, as well as the PC version, because I go on that one too, just in case. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bougie Black Bro and Fine Black Woman. BLK, don't spell it all out, BLK, and Coffee Women in Tech.
Yep.
And the website, bougieblackbrother.com. So, any last words, Boo?
No, darling.
Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you soon on Urban Lifestyle Cafe. Later.